Hey, hi, hello, guys. This is Jamali Senpai here. I'm doing these shorter. This should be a shorter video than the last one I uploaded in regards to the Ukraine and Africa and stuff. But this one is going to be pointed more so about Eric Adams, the New York City mayor, and his statement he made in regards to people filming police interactions and things like that. And this is just a quote. We're gonna watch the whole video, but this is just a quote that I caught on my Twitter, and it says, "Quote: If your iPhone can't catch that picture with you being at a safe distance, then you need to upgrade your iPhone. Stop being on top of my police officers while they're carrying out their jobs. This is not acceptable, and it won't be tolerated." Just alone, out of context, that statement's already really sus. But let's watch the entire video. Let's give him some time to walk us through what he just said, because that was kind of wild. That was very much like my police officers, which, bruh. Okay, let's watch.
Policing and other crimes with others if people didn't document it. What's your message to the community when they want to document what's going on with trying to stay safe, getting guns off the streets?
Without a doubt. And that is one thing that we're going to do. We're going to teach the public how to properly document. If an officer is on the ground wrestling with someone that has a gun, they should not have to worry about someone standing over them with a camera while they're wrestling with someone. If an officer is trying.
Okay, that is true. If in that instance, in that specific moment that he just talked about, if an officer is on the ground fighting with a suspect and they have their gun and the suspect has their gun or whatever, then yeah, probably give them a wider berth, because the situation isn't under control, and for your own safety, you don't want to end up being caught in like random crossfire that happens out of nowhere, right? You should definitely be more attentive and be careful about that. Um, Hopefully he gives another example that is where most of the filming of police officers come from.
Trying to prevent a dispute from taking place and de-escalate that dispute, they should have someone standing over their shoulders with a camera in their face, yelling and screaming out there at them without even realizing what the encounter is all about. There's a proper way to police, and there's a proper way to document.
Another interesting point, although, yeah, standing over one in any altercation, generally speaking, because we live in a generation of technology and we have the ability to record things, because we have cameras in our pocket, we have computers in our fucking pockets. Yeah, generally speaking, if there's any sort of altercation happening or any sort of interaction happening that is, getting violent in either a verbal capacity or physical capacity, you yourself as an individual should absolutely take care of your own safety. Unless you are one of the people involved in that situation, you should give that a wide berth, as wide of a berth as possible. You shouldn't be behind police officers, like fucking 2 feet away from them, recording over their shoulders. That doesn't make any sense. Now, 10 feet, that's fine. It all depends on the situation. Where, like, if the cops have the situation under control, but there seems to be some weird stuff happening in terms of how they're interacting with the person they have in custody, or if something that they're saying or doing makes you feel uncomfortable, absolutely whip out your phone, record them, because that's how we hold people accountable nowadays. But like when there's something happening, and as he says there's like an altercation or something happening and the police are trying to get a hold of the situation, always make sure you give more than enough of a wide berth. You don't need to be right up on top of the action. You need to care about your own safety, like I said, if you're not involved directly in that situation. But that's not... And then he goes on to say something else. He goes on to say there's a proper way to police.
If your iPhone.
There's a proper way to police, and there's a proper way to document. All right, well, are the police doing the proper way to police most of the time? Possibly. But do we catch times where they're not? And by being close to them, do we get the vital information we need to make sure that they're held accountable? The most famous situation that I can think of is George Floyd, right? If that civilian with her phone wasn't next to that area, wasn't as close as she was, we would have never gotten the footage of 9 minutes of Mr. Chauvin standing on Mr. Floyd's neck for as long as he did. We would have never gotten that footage, and he probably wouldn't be in jail right now. The fact that we were able to get that footage only came from the fact that while the police had the situation under control, there was one suspect, there's 4 police officers, 4 or 5, I think it was 4, and everything is seemingly under control. The person isn't really resisting arrest, that you can see from the video camera footage that we have on and that we see from when he was taken out of the car. He's not really resisting arrest or anything. He's not being belligerent. He's on the floor, subdued, handcuffed, and this guy's just kneeling on his neck for 9 minutes. That is an instance where getting as close as possible is recommended, because they don't have any real way to defend themselves in the case of people or people in that situation, not the police, don't have ways to defend themselves in situations where they don't fucking just instant die, where they don't die on the scene, and they want to be able to bring charges up against the police for police brutality, but they don't have any evidence, and it's he says, she says, or they say, and the police are almost always gonna get away with it because other police officers aren't gonna snitch on their fellow police officers. It just doesn't happen. That would be an instance where documenting incorrectly, as the mayor of New York City is saying, Eric Adams, that would be an instance of incorrectly documenting, according to him, because you would be too close to really give the police officers enough room to make proper judgment calls on the situation. And I think that that is an issue that has to be addressed. If we're going to say that people need to document the police correctly, then the police need to police correctly 100% of the time. There needs to be no instances, or at least 99.9% of interactions with police, instead of the like 70 or 80% that goes without there being any violence or any sort of violent altercation or thing, or verbal altercation or things like that. Those need to be a lot higher. The police need to be held to a higher standard, okay? And if recording them and documenting them is one of those ways that we can do that, then I can understand why, as, you know, someone who is in charge of the police, one, someone who's trying to garner the support of the police in his city, and then someone who also wants to, giving him the benefit of the doubt, genuinely assure the safety of both the officers that are in that situation and the people around them, because like I said, anything could happen at any minute. Bullets can go flying at any minute. So you always want to make sure your safety is paramount and that you have ways of getting out, or if the situation goes down or goes south in any way, that you're not going to be one of the first people hit in crossfire, then you should be able to record them. Obviously, once again, not on top of them, hovering over them, but being 10 feet away should be more than close enough. Then you should need to properly document a situation that you believe is a case of police brutality. But I have a feeling that that wouldn't be enough for him in this situation. And that's scary. That's a little sus.
Can't catch that picture, would you be at police? And there's a proper way to document it. If your iPhone...
Once again, he says there's a proper way to police, there's a proper way to document. Make sure your police are policing properly. Worry about that first. That's all I'm going to say. Like, worry about that first. All right? That's it.
Way to police, and there's a proper way to document it. If your iPhone can't catch that picture, with you being at a safe distance, then you need to upgrade your iPhone.
That's not funny. That wasn't funny the first time I heard it. That wasn't funny the second time I heard it. That's still not funny.
Being on top of my police officers while they're carrying out their jobs. That is not acceptable, and it won't be tolerated. That is a very dangerous environment you are creating when you're on top of that officer who has an understanding of what he's doing at the time.
I don't think that's necessarily true. Police oftentimes have more understandings than the people who are obviously there, bystanders who might have walked by as that happened. But the people who are being called there, the police, are being given information from sources that would be considered very shoddy and oftentimes don't hold up in court, which is why eyewitness testimony is so fucking shaky in a lot of places. They don't have a full understanding of the situation either. Like I said, worry about the police policing properly before they even show up to a situation. Like, a lot of issues that I feel happen with police misconduct or brutality happens because the police are poorly informed or just straight up wrongly informed, and they go into a situation that doesn't garner the level of intensity that they bring to it oftentimes.
Yelling police brutality, yelling at the officer, calling them names. Now he has to worry about who's behind him. Is he part of the process that he's trying to de-escalate? That has gotten out of control.
But we don't oftentimes see police de-escalating. I mean, I feel like I could obviously go on the internet and find any video to support my theory, to support my claims that I'm making here. But it would not be a hard thing to see. I feel like it would be harder to find videos of cops de-escalating where there was recordings, right? Where people are recording interactions, because tons of people have started to record their interactions with the police, just by traffic pullovers and things like that. There are less videos, probably because they're never getting posted because the police officer properly de-escalated, honestly, than there are of police not de-escalating, doing quite the opposite. There are tons of videos of the police, in fact, escalating situations where there doesn't need to be escalations. I think of the Black Army, I don't want to give the wrong rank. I don't know if he was a sergeant or not. I was going to say sergeant. But the soldier, the Black Army soldier who was in his truck at a gas station, who pulled over at a gas station because he didn't feel safe pulling over at the side of the road in the middle of the night because of the police had signaled him to pull over, and he drove to the next safest location, and they treated him as though he was straight up a fucking murderer. Like he was getting ready to pull the gun out of the glove compartment and light them up in the gas station. They had their guns out, pointed at this guy who's asking questions about why he's being stopped very calmly, and they're yelling and asking why to get out of the car and yada 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 and all this and bullshit. And he's just sitting there like, I don't understand why your guns are trained on me right now. What's happening? Can someone explain to me? And they don't even answer him. They just end up getting in his car and I think they pepper spray him. Like, it's really ridiculous. That's not okay.
We can safely document an incident, but we can use that footage to analyze what happened. But that's not what's happening right now in our city. We're finding people who are standing on top of the officer while he's involved in a dangerous encounter. Not acceptable. It's not going to continue to happen.
Thank you.
That has gotten out of control. You can say yelling police brutality, yelling at the officer, calling them names. Now he has to worry about who's behind him. Is he part of the process that he's trying to de-escalate? That has gotten out of control.
But how is he trying to de-escalate it, right? Like, what exactly are we talking about in terms of him trying to de-escalate? Like, his first example was of like a police officer on the ground struggling with a person who might have their gun. Is that de-escalating? Did we get a little bit past de-escalating there? I think we might have. And the other situation was just being in a situation where other people are surrounding you or whatever, and there's like an altercation or an interaction happening that they're trying to de-escalate. Like, let me listen to it again.
And there's a camera in their face, yelling and screaming out there. You have someone standing over their shoulders with a camera in. When officers trying to prevent a dispute from taking
When officers are trying to prevent a dispute from taking place. Yeah, I don't think that a lot of the instances that people are recording, they're recording these in the sense that there is obvious, palpable, malicious intent, it seems, right? I don't think that people, I misspoke. I don't think that people are recording in these situations where there isn't palpable malicious intent. I think people are recording these situations that they feel as though the police are getting a little overhand, or they're escalating a situation and not de-escalating a situation.
an incident. But we can use that footage. Is he part of the process that he's trying to de-escalate? That has gotten out of control. You can safely document an incident, but we can use that footage.
From how far away? Why didn't he give that? Like, how far away? What would be an appropriate distance than Mayor Eric Adams to document these things? What would you give it? Give us a number. Give us a range. Would 10 feet be too close? Would 20 feet be too close? Think about the distance. I don't know if you guys have played D&D, Dungeons and Dragons. Theoretically, it should take someone 6 seconds to cross 30 feet at like a steady like jogging pace, or if not a running pace, right? 6 seconds to cross 30 feet. All right. I'm my D&D brain is coming out here, but like think about that and think about what that means in terms of distance. And like, where would that be? Would 30 feet be too far? Would that be too close? Give us a number here, because that seems to be the point of contention here now. How far? You don't want us standing at the backs. You don't want them standing right on top of the police officers, obviously. I don't think that that's a good idea. No one should really think that's a good idea. But how far is good enough, right? Like I said, 15 feet? 15 feet's kind of far, bro. I don't know. Zooming in on cameras is good. Like, they work, and especially like the camera I have now, a 15 feet zoom probably won't be that big of a deal for me. But I don't know, it gets a little hazy, son. It gets a little fuzzy, and we want the clearest pictures possible so that you can use them, right? Right? Theoretically.
To analyze what happened, but that's not what's happening right now in our city. We're finding people who are standing on top of the officer while he's involved in a dangerous encounter. Not acceptable. It's not going to continue to happen.
That is not acceptable. If that is the case, then yeah, that isn't acceptable, where people are standing on top of officers while they're dealing with a dangerous encounter. But like I said, I don't want to say but, because everything before the word but is bullshit. So what I'll say instead of but is, however, there does seem to be a large case of police misconduct that needs to be filmed. So am I now supposed to ignore the police misconduct because I want to make sure that I give the police a wide enough berth to like do whatever they're doing to an individual, especially if they're like, 4-on-5, 4-on-1-ing, 1-on-5-ing, 1v9ing, right? Like, if that's the case, do I want to be the citizen who gives them enough space? Do I want to be right on top of them? Probably. I'm probably not going to be able to be right on top of them, because there will be 17 police officers there to take down 1 or 2 people, right? Now, in that instance, of course, you have no choice but to stand back, because there's going to be a wall of police officers protecting the issue, protecting the incident in the area that it happened. But what about when there are people who are in an area who aren't necessarily, maybe it's 2v1, maybe it's 1v1, maybe it's like 5 cops trying to break up or de-escalate a situation that is involving 10 or more people, coming out of a party or something like that. Now, where should I be when I'm standing to record? 10 feet, 5 feet? Like I said, there is a proper like amount of breath that you want to give these people while doing and handling these jobs, especially ones that involve interpersonal matters. But if we do go down that path, we have to understand that we could possibly neglect people who are being victims of police brutality. If the woman who recorded George Floyd, like I said, if the civilian who recorded George Floyd earlier had been forced to stay back or was further back than she was, then there probably would have been a lot more room or leeway for Derek Chauvin to get out of any sort of charges of negligence there. I don't even recall what he was charged with. I'm pretty sure it was like manslaughter or man-2 or something. But the point I'm saying is that recording is the main way that we're going to keep police officers and professionals professional. We're going to keep them, frosty. Keep them on their toes, right? Keep them held accountable for their actions, because they're given this power. They're given this power to do things that other normal citizens cannot do, and they need to be held accountable when they abuse them. And if that means that every now and again a person is getting too close to record something, then yeah, I'm okay with that. I think the culture behind recording things because of the fact that we have many computers in our pockets is an issue, but I think that it also is a blessing, because it does allow for instances to be documented that would have never been documented before. People have been complaining about police brutality for decades. The 90s, the 80s, like insane amount of black people saying that they are victims of police brutality. And it never really got that much better until people started to have the abilities to record this in their, to record every interaction that they felt was unnecessary or deemed to be too aggressive from the side of the police officers has shined such a brilliant light on the fact that there is a problem with police brutality, and particularly towards minorities and people of color. That's just the truth. That's just true. Like, that's just true of how it is. We've seen it for the over the last 2 years alone. We've seen the police brutality, and that has come in the face of a wave of protests about police brutality. And we've seen more and more things come out. So, bottom line is, yes, in dangerous situations, make sure you and yours is safe. Make sure you can be as safe as possible and not put yourself in harm's way. While recording, if you do choose to record an interaction between a civilian and the police. But you also have to be diligent and understand that, when the police are handling these situations that may or may not be dangerous, you don't have the whole context, but you damn sure can help fill in some of the blanks with that camera of yours, okay? Get close, but don't get too close. Allow them to do their job. Don't berate them. Don't make them feel threatened by your presence, because that could also lead to more violence and escalating of situations. Because if someone is feeling threatened and they're already in a dangerous situation, it never makes it better, right? But definitely don't let them get away with, like, just abusing your fellow citizens, your community members, and things like that. Make sure that you have them accountable and hold them accountable for the things that they are doing that is wrong. In this very video, Mayor Eric Adams says there's a proper way to police. And there's a proper way to document. The police need to focus on being proper when they do their policing. And that should be his priority, not stopping people from recording. People would have less to record if the public trust in the police and how they handle interactions on a day-to-day basis were better. This is why I really do believe that the police should only handle property disturbances. Anything that has to deal with, like, the property of an individual should be the focus of the police. That should be the main thing police are called for, because the police, we already know, are here to protect property. And the moment that the issues or violence begets, like, individuals having an attack or something like that, like some sort of physical alteration, then call in something else. Another division needs to be created so that the police can not be overburdened. One, with your day-to-day police calls, like my cat stuck in a tree or something, which, to be fair, I think the fire department deals with that. Or whatever, domestic disputes, the police should not be involved in those. It should be another group of people trusted and vetted by the community itself that should handle those sorts of domestic disturbances. And that's not really a big thing in a lot of places, especially in a lot of cities, because everyone is so individualistic and there's not a lot of room to properly, be neighborly. People, being from New York City, people there they're not like the howdy do, walking down the street, say hi to people. One, there's too many fucking people. Okay, you'd be walking down the street saying hi to everyone. Your voice will be hoarse by the time you get to your destination. It's just not worth it. Like, you should be in the mentality of mind your business, but also make sure your business is the protection and safety of your community. That should be it. Your area, your part of New York City, your part of wherever you are from, that is your business. You live there. The people you love and the people around you that you care about, whether you do or do not care about them, the better they feel about their situation in their community, the better everything is for everybody. So, of course, mind your business, but also make sure your community is a part of your business. And that's all I'm going to say on that, in that regards. I think there's not much else to say on this topic. Like, I think, bottom line, I think for the most part, given the specific interactions he's talking about, like if there's a dangerous incident occurring, you don't want to be on top of the police while that's happening. You don't want to be on top of someone, standing over them, recording something. You don't want that to be the case, right? In a lot of cases, though, the police tend to have the situation under control, and then things escalate from there, but from the police. So there's a lot of instances where recording is the best thing you can do, and getting as close a shot as you can is magnifique, because we want to be able to use those cases against those terrible police officers who are abusing the power that has been bestowed upon them, and we want to make sure that we have as much evidence as clear as possible so that we could get them off of the force, and hopefully, depending on the severity of their abuse, in jail, so that they're no longer able to be in that position of power. So yeah, both is right. He's right and wrong. There are proper ways to police. There are proper ways to document. The police are not doing a good enough job of properly policing, and instances where people are doing documenting, standing right on top of police officers, also should probably not be a thing, because that could also escalate at any moment and make things worse. Yeah, this is just like a very interesting read here. I mean, like I said, I don't think he's necessarily wrong, but we're probably gonna go on this thread and cause some trouble if we try to play the middleman here. So that's exactly what we're gonna do. But I'll post this video up on YouTube, and thank you guys for watching, whether you're on YouTube or watching me live. I will see you guys probably sometime later this week for the YouTube crowd. I don't usually post, but I'm trying to be more focused on that, more focused on posting on YouTube, because that's cool. And it's a good place to like just document my takes on things, so I could just pull them up and be like, nope, this is what I think on this. But yeah, thank you guys for watching, and make sure you guys click the subscribe button, like it, thumbs up, the thumbs down, whatever. I actually don't think it really matters that much if you thumbs down, but like whatever the point is, engage with the video, comment, call me an idiot, say that I'm a bootlicking shill, or say that I'm a Black Lives Matter anarchist or something, whatever the opposite sides of that spectrum is. But yeah, I'll see you guys around. Thanks for watching. Bye.